Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Got question Chase, has got the facts, talking NFL numbers, he's got your back. A little chart trend ball, man, he's got it like that. Chasing data by Due Champions. Chasing data applies to everyone. Chasing data, yeah, we're live today. Chasing data for always. Chasing data by Due Champions.
Welcome to another episode of Chasing Data. We are back. We are in the final week of the preseason, and things are happening. Players are getting traded, mostly wide receivers, some running back trades. But we're going to get all into that tonight. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Instead of doing our power rankings like we've done all summer long, we are going to talk about every team in the NFL and one quick storyline that has taken place with this team during the preseason. So we're going to go right to it. I mean, here at Due Media, they are Buffalo Bills focused, but tonight we're going through everybody. We will get to the Bills as well. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Starting with the NFC East. All right, NFC East. Philadelphia. They are the champions from last year. So we're not really worried about their preseason too much. They bring back the majority of the roster. Not much has changed. I mean, they lose a few of their defensive front players with Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. They both go to New England and Arizona. But the storyline of the preseason for them has been Tanner McKee and their ability to continue to put out quarterbacks. They're just quarterback factory. Each and every year they have a new quarterback in their system that has been able to just come alive. We saw what Kenny Pickett did. I mean, Tanner McKee in his limited time last year had like a perfect rating. What was it, like 2 or 3 touchdowns on like 2 passes or something like that. But in the preseason, in his one game, he was 20 for 25, 80% completion percentage, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 135 rating. I mean, it just continues to happen with the Philadelphia Eagles. Not much to watch with them. You know, they're not worried about the preseason, really regular season as well. But going on along with the NFC East, looking at the Washington Commanders, Ja'Cory, or like what he would like to be called now, Bill Krosky Merritt, his draft stock has absolutely skyrocketed over the past, 2 weeks, I would say. There was already speculation that he was going to get more run in Washington. The rookie was 7th rounder, but now Brian Robinson Jr. has been traded. He's on the team with the San Francisco 49ers. Ricky Pierce also. The 2 players that have been shot in the NFL are on the same team now. Quite a coincidence. But I don't know how much Bill Krosky Merritt is worth the hype that he's getting. You know, I mean, is he a great player? Potentially. I mean, he's a 7th round pick, but I mean, for them to go all out, and I mean, he's going to be, it's not going to be Austin Eckler who's carrying this team in the backfield. So Bill Krosky Merritt, he's had 18 carries, 70 yards. That's just 3.9 yards per carry. He did have that one big carry that ended up being a touchdown in the last week 2's preseason game against the Bengals, but let's take it with a grain of salt. They were playing against the Bengals, who had the worst defense last year, or one of the worst, and it doesn't look like they've improved much in the preseason. He did have that touchdown on that, and that was that 27-yard run, and he's had 3 receptions for 8 yards. So nothing really crazy thus far, but we're probably going to get a lot. I saw that his draft stock, that he has gone from he's moved up like 2 rounds over the past week in fantasy football. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does because, like I said, I don't think Austin Eckler is going to be getting the majority of the workload in that backfield. Looking at the Dallas Cowboys, their preseason storyline still continues to be Michael Parsons. It is absolutely ridiculous that this is still a talking point for them. Jerry Jones continues to shoot himself in the foot with everything that he says. He he come out, was it today? I think he spoke with Stephen A. Smith and was saying that the agent doesn't really need to be involved. He compared it to like a mom and dad giving a child what they wanted, a mom saying no, but the dad saying yes, but the dad doesn't need to be part of the conversation. I don't know. I don't see how this can be reconciled in Dallas, but I don't know. Jerry is Jerry. That's all there is to it. New York Giants. Everybody, this might be the most talked about preseason team in the NFL at this point. And that's all because of Jackson Dart. I mean, we had the media saying once Jackson Dart was drafted in the first round, like, oh man, they overdrafted him. He went way before Shador. They should have taken Shador. And I don't know that is still the argument at this point because Jackson Dart has looked amazing. Not to say Shador has looked horrible, but Shador has only played one game, one half, and Jackson Dart has been outstanding. I mean, he's put up some of the best numbers of any quarterback in the preseason. Granted, he has played more than other ones, but he has looked absolutely spectacular. 32-47, that's a 68% completion percentage, 372 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 0 turnovers, 113 rating. I mean, it's not all dink and dunk throws. Against the Bills, it was more shorter throws, but just last night alone, whenever he played against the Patriots, he had 3 big-time throws out of his 12 attempts. In comparison, you look at what Tua had last year. Tua had 11 big-time throws on 300, 500, 400-ish pass attempts. I mean, it's just he's throwing the ball down the field. I mean, there's a new livelihood around New York. New York is feeling great these days. You see a lot more happiness on the sidelines in New York. Tim, man, Dak, Bijan, Chase Brown, Jay, appreciate you stopping by. Let's see that. Ooh. Let's see. All right, Dak is probably. I mean, with CD and I didn't want to do that. CD and George Pickens, he's going to do great. And then you have Bijan. That must have been your first pick. Chase Brown, he's going to be middle of the pack probably. Who else you got on here? McConkey, Mike Evans. I mean, Evan Ingram. Yeah, Evan Ingram's probably going to go off in that offense. But a lot of dink and dunk with Bo Nix. I think that's a solid starting lineup for sure. Nothing terrible. I mean, Chase Brown may be the worst player out of those starters, as long as Dak stays healthy. Moving on to the NFC West. We'll start with the Los Angeles Rams. Man, I don't know why that picture is blurry, but here we are. The preseason storyline for them is the fact that Matthew Stafford, he did return, what was that, yesterday to practice? Did he fully practice, though? I'm not really sure because, I mean, it's very peculiar how they're handling that situation. They kept saying he was going to be back. And then every time that he is supposed to be back, it's another delay. Back issues, especially at his age. Was he 36 now? I know they're trying to keep him in bubble wrap until the season starts, but it is not looking good right now. I do not feel comfortable if I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen because this team goes as Matthew Stafford goes. If he is not on the field, then it's a wrap. I mean, Stetson Bennett has looked great in preseason, but he is not carrying this team no matter if they have Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Jarquez Hunter, who they drafted in the backfield, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson. Offensive line that is above average, top 10. I mean, this team is not going to go anywhere without Matthew Stafford. This division as a whole is one of the most unpredictable ones. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Arizona is the outlier that will not more than likely win the division. But out of San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams, I mean, any of those could win, and I would not be blown away at all. It's really a toss-up between those three. I mean, you got the Rams who have the Matthew Stafford injury already that they're going to be working through. You have the Seahawks who have a offensive line that needs to be better. They did get Gray Zabel, who has looked outstanding in the preseason, but you have Sam Darnold, who cannot function unless he has a top-tier offensive line. You have the San Francisco 49ers, who have 92 wide receivers that are injured already, and they have the same injury bug that they had in 2024. And the Arizona Cardinals are not there yet. But between those three teams, this is one of the closest as far as betting odds go with divisions as to who's going to win this division. There's not much going on with Arizona as far as the preseason goes. I'm curious to see what happens with their newly rebuilt front four. They now have new players this year in Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan, who they drafted early in the first round. Who else did they bring in? Calais Campbell, and then they have Baron Browning, who they re-signed. So, a completely revamped front four. Then they have BJ Ojulari? Yeah, Ojulari, who's coming back, who was injured last year. CJ Miller, appreciate you stopping by. Lamar, Saquon, Justin Jefferson, Ridley, Hawkinson. Man, that is, whew. Still having $93 left over out of that $300 salary cap is outstanding, in my opinion. You have the top quarterback, one of the top two running backs, one of the top two or three fantasy wide receivers in Justin Jefferson. It's just J.J. McCarthy may take him back a little bit. Ridley's probably going to eat with Cam Ward. He's going to be his focal point, and Hawkinson's always a good secondary target. All right, so like I said, with the injuries in San Francisco, the wide receivers, they have Brandon Ayuk, who is recovering from ACL. Nah, CJ, I think you did good. Appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for the follow. Ayuk, who is returning from the ACL injury, so they're expected a week 6 return for him. Juwan Jennings, who had somewhat of a breakout last year, has had calf issues in the offseason, and he wants a new deal. Vikes bring back TJ Hawk. Are you saying they bring him back in the sense of he's going to be more of a focal point? Appreciate you stopping by. So Juwan Jennings wants a new deal. Who, he was wide receiver 3 last year, but he came in and was the focal point whenever they had all the injuries they had last year. They had the most adjusted games lost on offense since, I don't know, like 2021 or something like that. It was something. It was ridiculous how many players they had injured. Demarcus Robinson, who they got from the in division Los Angeles Rams, has a 3-game suspension. Jordan Watkins, high ankle sprain, and Jacob Cowing, he re-aggravated his hamstring. So this team, they have me basically left in the wide receiver room. So it's another terrible start. They did trade for Brian Robinson Jr. today. So that's interesting. They do have Christian McCaffrey, but, he played, 4 games last year because of the injury that kept him going to Germany last year. That was something I spoke on before. I'm curious to see what happens with Saquon because he had over 400 carries, in the last few running backs who had over 400 carries were Christian McCaffrey, who in the following season last year was terrible health-wise. Then you look at the likes of Chris Johnson, who was absolutely amazing in that 2,000 rushing yard season, and then he came back and just fell off a cliff. B-Rod at 84, debating sending CMC, Javante, and Golden, plus 2 firsts. Hoo-wee. The 2 first part is what has me a little iffy. But, that return for Saquon, Egbuka, Jaden Blue, and a third. The only player you're sending of note, is Christian McCaffrey. I'm assuming this is a dynasty league. Christian McCaffrey, I don't know how many years he has left under his belt. I would do it just based also on the fact that Jaden Blue is definitely going to have a chance to be the starting running back in Dallas because it's Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders who are doing absolutely nothing. So Jaden Blue is technically going to be a starter, or you can pencil him in as a starter because he's going to get his chance. If he doesn't succeed there, you might as well buy low while you can. So yeah, I think I would do that if I were you. Thanks for stopping by. And then Seattle. So I talked about this. I had a video posted the other day. I talked about Sam Darnold and his inability to stay upright, or inability to function whenever there's any pressure towards him. But another thing that's caught my eye with Seattle is the running back room. They got Holani, who has Jaden Blue just scored. Better submit that trade right now. Jaden Blue, Helani, who had a good outing in week 1, and then week 2, Zach Charbonnet was, I think he was 5 for 45 and a touchdown, including that 15-yard rushing touchdown he had. I mean, he looked good. My thing is, what is going to happen with that running back room when Kenneth Walker, who has been injured, he was injured in the offseason. He has the lingering injury, I should say. He missed, I think, 11 games last year. I mean, Kenneth Walker could definitely get some run, and this could definitely be more of a running back by committee room this year, or maybe even a 60-40 split in Seattle versus what it has been over the last 2 years with Kenneth Walker being more of the bell cow in Seattle. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. Sprinkle bet. Exactly. If Darnold doesn't have 3 seconds in the pocket, he's trying. Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened once it got to, what is that, week 18 versus the Lions and then in the playoffs. Like, I mean, he was just absolutely terrible. I mean, he lost his left tackle and Christian Darrisaw. They brought in Cam Robinson last year. And, I mean, it still was an uphill battle for him. He was great when he's protected. I mean, he's a top 12-ish quarterback whenever he's protected, but that's the key. They have 2 bookends in Seattle. They bring in Gray Zabel to help in the interior offensive line. So we're going to see what happens. Staying away from Seattle backfield, been burnt by it before committee, I think. Yeah, I agree. Anything fantasy-wise, I am steering clear of them. Unless you get Charbonnet in like one of the last rounds just as a flyer. The pixelated logo of the Rams is a nod to their convoluted roster construction. Hey, what do you say? F them picks? F them pixels. Are you wearing a bill? Yeah. So since people at Due put on all this, I had to wear Bills, even though I got a lot of kickback today being a Ravens fan. Had to put on the Bills shirt. All right, moving on to the NFC North. Let's start with the Detroit Lions. I mean, there's not much that has gone on really in the preseason. They bring back a majority of their roster, but the key is for them this year, they're healthy again for the time being, outside of Ennis Rakestraw, who had shoulder surgery, I want to say. But Aiden Hutchinson's coming back. I mean, the preseason doesn't really matter. They've looked good. I mean, they look nothing to write home about, nothing crazy, positively or negatively. But what's going to be a first few weeks of the season thing that I'm watching for the Detroit Lions? How are they going to sputter? I don't really expect them to come out and be firing on all cylinders like they were all of 2024, being that they lost Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. This is going to take time for this to mesh and this offense and defense to get back to where they were. They had a lot of injuries. They had to blitz all the time last year with Aaron Glenn just to do things better. But I want to see what's going to happen this year. That's my thing to watch for the Lions. For the Vikings, what you got, B-Rod? Deep dive. Adam Thielen likely going to the Vikings. Cokeheads rise. I mean, good point. Good transition for me here. So talking about the Vikings, I mean, they are rumored to be looking for wide receivers due to the fact that Jordan Addison, with the suspension for the DUI, I believe. I mean, bringing back Adam Thielen would be perfect. I mean, he's already excelled in this system. Kevin O'Connell already knows him, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can get a deal done. I mean, I would think that Carolina takes a 6th-round pick or something like that for Adam Thielen. I think he's in his last year of his contract. So, yeah, Harrison Phillips. Yeah, that was quite crazy. Definitely unexpected. Yeah. Wild move. Yeah, definitely so, student. I agree 100%. That is definitely a preseason storyline for them. Out of the blue, I mean, they brought in their defense. They brought in their other older defensive linemen. That was a Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, I want to say they brought in this offseason. And then they go out and trade Harrison Phillips for what was it, 2 late round picks? I mean, it's just, you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. But continuing on with the NFC North, looking at the Green Bay Packers, what's going to happen with Matthew Golden? The Green Bay Packers finally go out and get a first-round receiver. I did not think they were going to take Matthew Golden in this draft, but they did in the first round. And reports is that he is doing great in training camp, in the offseason. We hadn't seen too much in the preseason. I think he has minimal numbers, but I mean, whatever. It's going to be interesting. I see him burning a lot of people on, deep routes in practice. So I'm curious to see how that connection goes with Jordan Love, because you have Christian Watson, who is out still recovering from that ACL injury. You have 18 other wide receiver twos in Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs. They need a wide receiver one. That is one thing that is holding this team back. They have Josh Jacobs in the backfield. The defense was probably overachieving last year, especially in the second half of the season. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him and Jordan Love. Chicago Bears. Preseason storyline, Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson looked absolutely amazing in that first drive the other night. I don't remember who they were playing. It was whoever it was. Caleb Williams was 5 for 6, 93 yards and a touchdown the other night, which was absolutely perfect. I mean, you saw him getting the ball, rolling around, and he even had time to roll around in the pocket. Like, he would scramble last year. He would move around too much, but his decision making looks extremely improved. Everything is like, it's almost, I'm not going to compare it. They're not what and what, but you see Tua in Miami. Like, Tua knows where he's going with the ball because that system is made for him to deliver the ball to a certain place at a certain time. Caleb Williams comes out and he's going through his progression on that drive, and he knew if it's not his first read, he knows exactly where to go his second read. It was just day and night compared to where he was last year. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. And then going back, one more thing I want to touch on for Minnesota is the fact, what's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy? We talked about the lack of wide receiver with Jordan Addison being suspended. They do still have arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL with Justin Jefferson. T.J. Hawkinson's still there. But what is J.J. McCarthy going to do? Obviously, Kevin O'Connell and the GM there felt good about moving on from Sam Darnold and not paying him $40 million a year roughly was the going number for him. But I'm curious to see what J.J. McCarthy does, because obviously they felt comfortable enough to move on with him. We've seen positives and negatives from him in the during training camp and during the preseason practice sessions. But so far, he's only 4 for 730 yards. But this team is, if anybody's going to be set up for success, the two best situations for a quarterback may be in Chicago and Minnesota. These two teams, these rosters are stacked for what they could do for a quarterback trying to prove themselves. Forget the division winner. Who could be a wild card team out of this group? All right, I think the Lions win the division. It's probably going to be a rough start. But wild card, would I be surprised if any of the other three teams are a wild card? Absolutely not. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson should be taking that next step. Obviously, terrible season last year, but they are primed to be a team that jumps up. Ben Johnson has some of the best sides to be coach of the year. All it takes him to get is to 9-8, 10-7. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. The Packers are still a middling team. I'm lower on Jordan Love than most. He still turns the ball over too much for my liking. So if he were to regress or not take that next step, I would not be surprised the defense takes a step back. It's more average this year. That's another 500 or 10-7 team. The Vikings, depends on J.J. McCarthy. I'm not sold on him at the moment. So, honestly, 1A and 1B to me are the Packers and the Bears. We've seen what Ben Johnson has been able to do with Jared Goff in that offense. They don't have a bad day until, the defense just can't compete. But whenever they had all the injuries. So I want to say Packers or Bears. They both could get in. We could. It wouldn't surprise me. We had 2 wild card teams from this division last year, in the Vikings and the Packers, so we could get 2 more this year. All right, moving on. A lot about the NFC North. Let's go to the NFC South. NFC South. Start with New Orleans. All right, well, start with the Falcons. Falcons, word is James Pierce has been going crazy over the last few days in practice. Haven't really seen anything on the field yet. But, maybe they're just wishfully thinking, being that they overpaid for him. And to remind you, they got Jalen Walker in the first round, and then they traded back to, what was it, pick 22 or so with the Los Angeles Rams. I don't remember the exacts of the trade, but they traded next year's first for getting back for that 22nd pick to get, or 22nd, whatever it was, to get James Pierce Jr. this year. So he better be good, because I mean, if I'm the Rams, I take that trade every day of the week. Would I be surprised if Atlanta has a top 10 pick next year? Absolutely not. You know, I mean, the Rams are going to be in the ballpark for looking for a quarterback potentially next year. Arch Manning have their own pick, have the Falcons' first round pick. They're building up a plethora of picks to move up. So we'll see what happens. But James Pierce is supposedly doing great. Going to be interesting to see what he and Jalen Walker can do as a duo on this field. Preseason storyline for the Saints. Who's going to be a starting quarterback? Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck. I mean, they basically played near identical as far as stat lines go. Rattler starting this week, and I want to say I think best case scenario for the Saints, I think they won't. I don't know. I don't know if who they want to start, but I would say it's best case scenario that Rattler starts week 1, because it's going to be easier to go from Rattler to Shuck back to Rattler if Shuck is terrible, versus the opposite, which is start Tyler Shuck, go to Rattler, then we got to go back to the rookie who sucked to begin with, and we hoping he's going to do better. So I think they start Rattler and give Shuck some time. But I mean, Shuck is 25, 26 years old. They bring in Devon Vele, who was a 7th round pick. The Saints trade a 4th round pick. Again, the Saints, Mickey Loomis, I have no idea what this man is doing. They had finally committed to moving on and, rebuilding to an extent. Finally rebuilding. They get a quarterback. Derek Carr's off the books, basically. Well, he is off the books. He retired, didn't take the money. But they were in a rebuild. And then they go and trade their 4th round pick. And I see arguments of, they're going to have another 4th round pick, so they should have used it. No, they shouldn't. Devon Vele is 27 years old. You already have a wide receiver room with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks. What is Devon Vele going to do for you at 27 years old? And, I mean, you're not competing this year. You are preparing. You're trying to just this is a building year. It's first year for Kellen Moore. Saints fans shouldn't expect nothing better than 5-12. You're just trying to reset the books, but you're going to trade your draft picks. It makes no sense to me. Madden Mentink, Achane or Jonathan Taylor. If it's PPR, who? I say Jonathan Taylor, because Achane, I don't know, the Dolphins offense, I feel like it's ran its course, and I don't know that how much more it's going to improve. I hear a lot of speculation about Ollie Gordon getting some run in Miami. They didn't trade for Brian Robinson Jr., so, and Alexis says Achane's hurt too. I mean, outside of him just being a PPR monster and just with the quick check downs, I mean, I don't really trust him. I'm not as high on him as other people are. So Jonathan Taylor is it for me. Daniel Jones can't be much worse than what they had going on last year. So Jonathan Taylor. Austin, appreciate you stopping by. Let's see. Where do you think the best place to draft in a 12-man league is PPR? I would not want 1 or 2. I would say probably like 5. I would take my chances at 5. And that's just solely based on the fact that you have someone out of those top 4, those chalk top 4 players that fall to you at 5. And then you're always in the middle of the round. I always hate being at 1 or 2 or 11 or 12, because you're making both picks back to back basically. And then there's just a huge gap. You're not even really paying attention to what's going on in the draft. So keep me entertained. And I want to say I saw something that, like, over last year or last 2 years in a 12-man league, I think it was like, if you were picked like 5, 7, and 8, that was the most likely championship winner from the fantasy. Alexis says he's 100% relying on Tua, who is 1 concussion away from retirement. Exactly. I mean, Quinn Ewers, we're going to talk about in a minute, but you're spot on. I mean, I don't trust this offense. The offense, I think it's on a downhill trend. All right. So that's the Saints. Tampa Bay. Wide receiver room. I mean, the rich just got richer. I mean, initially, and then it come back down to earth a little bit. I say that because they went out and drafted Emeka Egbuka. Was it first round? That was their first round pick. This guy would have been probably a top 10 pick 2 years ago. And he comes into a wide receiver room with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who is coming back healthy. And now they had Jalen McMillan, who had just a complete, absolute astronomical takeoff at the end of the season last year. He had like the most touchdowns on go routes from week 10 onward or something like that last year. He's hurt now, likely to be out till week 9 with the neck injury. Godwin's back, like I said, and now they have Egbuka. I mean, this guy, with Baker Mayfield and this offensive line and Bucky Irving, this offense is going to be great. I mean, I know Jalen McMillan's hurt, but this offense is still going to be great. Before Chris Godwin got hurt last year, he was first in first down rate and first down conversions as well. I want to say, like, first down catches. So Mike Evans, he's going to give you 1,000 yards. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches in the wide receiver room. And finally, the Carolina Panthers. We know what the defense was. The defense was absolutely terrible last year, and I don't know. They're probably going to be improved. They were literally last or next to last in like 8 different categories last year. So the defense should improve somewhat. I mean, the bar is extremely low. But the Bryce Young thing, I'm kind of curious because he has not looked the best in the preseason. I mean, we've seen people struggle in the preseason before, but I kind of hoped he would pick up where he left off last year in the second half of the season after he regained the starting role. But you look at his last game, he was 0 for 2 with a sack and an interception that was called back from a penalty. I mean, nothing seems to have clicked yet. Again, it's preseason, but it is a storyline. It's something I'm looking out for. He's 4 for 8, 50 yards, and he did have a touchdown, but week 2 played that one series, and that was it. I was hoping that they would play more last night. They would get the first team offense back in there. Want to see what he's going to do with Xavier Legette, a little more with Ted McMillan, but we haven't had the opportunity. But we will see how that carries over into the regular season. So real quick, we are going to take a commercial break, about 30 seconds or so, and we will be right back to talk about the AFC.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Due Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Due Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Due Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right, AFC. All righty. Let's see. So, Offensive Rookie of the Year will come out of the NFC South. We got Ted McMillan, who is a good choice. I don't think Tyler Shuck's going to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe Devin Neal for the Saints gets some run. Kamara gets traded. I don't think so. But Egbuka definitely is also a great choice. So, yeah, you have 2 absolutely good options in the NFC South. AFC time. So, with the AFC, this division is sneakily a little bit more of a toss-up than people want to say, I believe. I mean, Houston is the runaway favorite as of at the moment, but I think it's a little more close than people want to say it for one reason. But, all right, starting with the Texans. I mean, the preseason storyline is what the offensive line is going to do. They completely revamped this offensive line to get rid of Laramie Tunsil, get rid of Shaq Mason, they get rid of they still have Juice Scruggs. Did they get rid of Juice Scruggs? But regardless, they basically have a new starting 5 on the offensive line. They went into it with the mindset of, hey, we could bring in a completely new roster on the offensive line, and it could completely change. I mean, it couldn't be any worse. Couldn't be any worse. I mean, we saw C.J. Stroud running for his life every snap last season, and that's going to be the X factor for this team this year. What's going to happen with C.J. Stroud? Is he going to be able to stay upright? The defense is absolutely loaded. They're already great with Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter. I mean, Christian Harris. They have Aziz Al-Shaair. In the secondary, they have Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley Jr. had some of the best numbers in the NFL as far as cornerback duos go. They were like first and second passer rating allowed. It was absolutely ridiculous. Then they go out and get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I mean, this defense is just absolutely loaded. They may allow 14 points a game, but C.J. Stroud may get sacked 14 times a game. They did surprise me in the draft by going back-to-back wide receivers that early on, but they may know more than me. All right, Wyatt, for fantasy football, what do you think of Garrett Wilson and Terry McLaurin? I mean, I don't know if there could have been any two wide receivers that are more questionable, in my opinion. And I say that because Garrett Wilson is in an offense with Justin Fields, who is a known scrambler and not necessarily a pass-first quarterback. The positive for Garrett Wilson in that offense is they get Tanner Engstrand from the Detroit Lions, who is the pass game coordinator, going to New York. So maybe they do plan to pass the ball. But then you still have Justin Fields, who is not necessarily the most accurate or most well-known pocket passer in the NFL. Terry McLaurin, equally as confusing because I assume he's going to be in Washington, but they have yet to pay him. I don't know what's taking them so long. But, if they trade him, the season's a wash. They're not doing anything in Washington. So, could be absolutely terrible, could be absolutely great. No, not the answer you want to hear, but appreciate you stopping by. All right, AFC South, continuing on with them. Jacksonville Jaguars. It's Travis Hunter. This season is going to have a lot to do with what Travis Hunter does. He's the first two-way player we've seen in quite some time. The Jaguars traded, was it next year's first, to move up from 5 to 2 to get him. If I'm the Browns, I'm taking that deal 10 out of 10 times. But what is going on? He's the focal point. And they're one of the teams that are sneakily in contention to win this division because, Trevor Lawrence, he was injured majority of the season last year. They have Travis Hunter, who could easily be offensive or defensive player of the year. Rookie of the year, excuse me. Would I be absolutely blown away? No, I don't know that it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be blown away on either side of that. But they definitely traded a lot to get him. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. They improved the defense somewhat. They still have Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker up front. But outside of those two, they didn't really have anybody who could get pressure last year. But like I said, Trevor Lawrence is back. Brian Thomas Jr. could be a top 5 wide receiver by the end of the season. You have Travis Hunter as wide receiver 2. They have me as the tight end after trading Evan Ingram. They have really no pass catchers on this in the tight end room. But still, if they're around 500 with Liam Cohen, I would not be surprised. If you get cut from the Browns, it's probably the Argonauts. Yeah, fair points. Fair points. Moving on, and let's talk about Indy. Whenever I did my breakdown of the Indianapolis Colts, I talked about how they brought in Daniel Jones to basically, they brought him in on a pretty hefty deal to be a QB2 at the time, which was a 1-year, $14 million contract. That's a lot of money for a backup. But they brought him in to be the bar for Anthony Richardson to pass. I said that whenever I did that episode, 2 months ago, whenever that was, they were lower on the rankings. But I honestly thought Anthony Richardson would easily pass that bar, and I was wrong. I still think he kind of has. He hasn't really shown anything to say, oh, he's worse than Daniel Jones. You've seen the bad throws from Daniel Jones in the preseason, But they have come out. Shane Steichen has come out and said that Daniel Jones is the starter for the foreseeable future. This is not a short leash. This is not a week-to-week thing. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, I don't know. We were talking about Jonathan Taylor earlier and his fantasy value. I don't know what his fantasy value really is with Daniel Jones. I don't know. They could be worse. I mean, I don't know. They did have Joe Flacco, who was airing it out last year. I don't know. This team, the writing's on the wall. They may be tanking for Arch Manning as well. I don't really know what to make of them. I really thought Anthony Richardson would win this battle. I mean, it's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been god-awful. We see how happy the people are in New York without him, all the players. I don't know. It's a tough situation if you're a Colts fan. AR was done when he pulled himself out of the game for being too tired. Fair point. It's just crazy. I mean, is he one of the biggest, top 5 pick busts? I mean, since I don't know, somebody said he was Jamarcus Russell. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, he wasn't even watching tape. He wasn't doing anything. It's just they took a flyer on him and it just did not pan out. What's crazy about Anthony Richardson, though, is that he's younger than Shador, Dylan Gabriel, Tyler Shuck, who else? Michael Penix Jr. He's younger than all these players. I mean, it's just crazy that they pulled the plug on him so quickly. I mean, I also saw that he had 1,700 snaps since college and the pros, 1,700 snaps. And you compare that to the likes of Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and CJ Stroud. And I think, so Anthony Richardson was at like 1,700. And the next one of those were like 3,500 and then upwards to 5,000 with Bo Nix. Like, he just does not have experience. None at all. So I don't know how you expect him to grow when he doesn't have experience. Yeah, I don't think the only thing that threw me off with Arch coming out is that whoever it was in his family said that he wasn't coming out, and then Arch came out yesterday or day before and was like, I don't know where he's getting that information or why he would say that or something. So never know. But every team is hoping that Arch comes out. Every team that is in top 10 is hoping that they can trade up to get him next year. Moving on with the AFC South, we have the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward, I was going to talk about him and not looking the greatest so far, but that was due to his wide receivers. He's had some drop passes from his wide receiver room, and they're not helping. I mean, he does have 2 rookies, but I think he and Calvin Ridley are going to link up more times than not this season, and Calvin Ridley is going to be a sleeper, a stud for sure in real life and fantasy. He looked good in week 2, and then he looked good tonight prior to the show. He did have a touchdown drive, and Julius Chestnut ran it in on one. Manziel, Bryce Young, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Okay, so that was the bust. Manziel, yeah. Bryce Young, he's still unwritten on him. Zach Wilson, yeah. Trey Lance, yeah, that's Kyle Shanahan's fault. Yeah, it was Archie that said it. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Go Bills. Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about the Bills in a moment. So, yeah, this division, more of a toss-up than I see Houston just running away with it. I mean, it's really iffy with that offensive line. Moving on. Go ahead and talk AFC East now. Buffalo Bills. I don't want to talk about the Bears game, but I kind of want to talk about the Bears game. It's the preseason. Things have not looked good just as an outsider looking in on the defense. But I mean, like I said, it's the preseason. The only thing that really worries me is what's going on with Trey White with the injury, and Maxwell Hairston, him being injured is not ideal as well, especially when that was their top pick. You could be on either side of the fence with them. You could be, they made so many moves this offseason to improve this team. They go get Joey Bosa. They go get Larry Ogunjobi. They re-sign all their key core players. They bring back Trey White. And you could argue, hey, none of those are really going to change what's going to get them over the hump in the offseason. In the postseason. Regular season doesn't matter for this team. Maxwell Harrison being injured right now, Trey White being injured right now doesn't matter. They're winning the division. I mean, they could. Here comes the hate. No, not much hate. Not much hate. I'm arguing that the regular season doesn't matter. The injuries don't matter. What they're doing right now doesn't matter. I mean, they're not going to finish. There's no world that they finish worse than 10-7, and that's the absolute floor for this team. And they're still winning the division. Nobody else in this division is competing. The Dolphins, their time has come and gone. The Jets are still a quarterback away plus more. Patriots, they have too many holes still. So the good news is preseason games don't matter for the Bills. We saw what happened. Was that last year they played the Bears and had a similar outcome? It was sometime or another. But I'm curious to see how all these new pieces work together. What is Joey Bosa going to do? Is he going to stay in bubble wrap into the postseason and actually be productive then? You don't win a Super Bowl in August, but you can lose one. Yeah, yep. Fair point. So we'll see what happens. 33-8. Okay. So that's the Bills. Talking about the Patriots. If I had to choose a team out of this division that could win the division, if we were writing off the Buffalo Bills and I chose a team out of the other three between the Patriots, Dolphins, and the Jets, I'm choosing the Patriots. They have the highest ceiling, I believe, out of these teams. I mean, they have Drake May, who is looking to take that next step forward this year. The offensive line was an issue last year. They go get Will Campbell in the first round, who was that 4th overall pick. Then they get Travion Henderson, looks like the better of the two choices out of the Ohio State running backs. He had that 100-yard, was a punt return, kickoff return touchdown. They look like they have an absolute sleeper pick that they have gotten out of Efton Chisholm III. Undrafted, went to the same university as Cooper Kupp. This guy in 2 games in preseason, 12 receptions, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't even play in week 3. You know, I was talking about if he played, I mean, it was kind of indicative on how much he was going to play. And if he played a lot, then he might be on the bubble to make the roster, but he didn't play at all. So I think his spot is locked up, especially with Jalen Polk being out for the entirety of the season with shoulder injury? He's having surgery on something, so he's out for the season. But they go out and they get Carlton Davis III. They get Milton Williams. I mean, this team, they get Robert Spillane, who's there too, I believe. They definitely made a lot of improvements. They spent a lot of money in the offseason, and they go get Stephon Diggs, who we'll see what happens. But definitely a better team. Have Mike Vrabel there. It's going to be interesting. Patriots. Miami Dolphins. Like I said earlier, I think the ship has sailed. Appreciate you stopping by, Brad. Yeah. I think the ship has sailed on what is going to come of this offense. I mean, I know they're not, but ideally they should. I don't know if they should move on from Mike McDaniel at this point, but the current iteration of this team is not going to win. Just not going to happen. Yeah. The Dolphins. Yeah. The Dolphins, I mean, Tyreek Hill, I think they should have moved on from him whenever they had the opportunity, whenever he was speaking so negatively about the team after the end of the season last year, and then it was back and forth during the offseason. You keep Jalen Waddle. I mean, they bring in Darren Waller, and they let go of Jonnu Smith, who had the best season of his career. Like I said earlier, Devin Achane, I'm not really sold on at this point. Ollie Gordon may be something back there, but I mean, Tua, someone said on here a while ago that he's one concussion away from his career being over. And I mean, they're not wrong. The defense has holes. They may have the worst secondary in the entire NFL. They lose Javon Holland, who someone got hurt recently. I think they're out for the season in the secondary. The linebacker core is not outstanding or anywhere near it. Front four, I mean, they have Kenneth Grant. They have Bradley Chubb. They have Zach Sealer. I mean, and then did they sign Matthew Judon? I mean, I just don't think, but I mean, that's not there. Too many issues. They may be the only team that could be worse than the Jets. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McDaniel's fired by week 6, 7. It wouldn't blow me away. I mean, they start 2-4, 3-5 5. I mean, it may be over. There you go. Appreciate it. But Quinn Ewers, terrible week 1 in preseason. Absolutely, maybe the worst quarterback in week 1. Week 2 was much better. They actually, I mean, it looks like they may have gotten something out of him, getting him in the 7th round. I'm not saying he's a starting quarterback or starting caliber, but better than what they had as backups last year when they're absolutely terrible whenever Tua was injured. AFC East, Buffalo's running away with it. You might get a wild card team out of the Patriots. Would not be absolutely blown away. Don't know if it's going to happen, but possible. AFC West. 2 divisions left. Las Vegas Raiders. Preseason storyline, Ashton Genty. He's going to be the regular season storyline as well. Well, also Christian Wilkins. That was a storyline. Never really came out as to what exactly he was doing in the locker room that everyone had an issue with. Really curious with that. But anyways, Ashton Genty is going to be the focal point of as far as storylines go for the beginning of this season for this team. They have him, who one of the best running backs to come out of the draft over the last few years. Nothing really great so far in the preseason. 10 for 32 and 1 touchdown. Longest carry was 13 yards. Eager to see TB12 effect. Yeah, Tom Brady seems like he has definitely committed to being more of a part of the Raiders organization this year. Definitely compared to last year. You definitely see him and his presence much more often this preseason. I'm curious to see what Geno Smith is able to do with these receivers. Brock Bowers is probably the best tight end in the NFL right now. You have him with Jacoby Myers, who is probably a wide receiver too. They still need a true wide receiver 1, but I mean, you could say Brock Bowers is wide receiver 1. They have Ashton Genty. The offensive line is they have Max Crosby. They traded one of their best secondary players in Jacorian Bennett to the Eagles. If you ever make a trade with the Eagles, it's probably a bad trade. But outside of Jahan Dotson, going to be interesting. I don't know. I mean, they're probably a 500 team or somewhere near it. Okay, fair point. Okay. That's the Raiders. Broncos. We talked about Devon Vele earlier. I was kind of surprised they moved on from him. Sean Payton said that they were not looking to actively shop him, but I think 3 teams were interested. And I mean, if you can take a 7th rounder who's 27 years old and had less than 500 yards last year and get a 4th rounder out of it, you do it all day, every day, I do believe. There's been reports that Troy Franklin has looked good in camp. So they move on with that. It's going to be interesting to see what RJ Harvey does. Their 2nd round pick running back that they took this year. I thought he was going to be the bell cow 3-down back, but then they go out and get J.K. Dobbins. So it's going to be a running back by committee more than likely. Jake Hoppa, does Brian Robinson trade affect CMC draft strategy at 1? No, I don't think it affects it. Brian Robinson, I think regardless, they're probably not going with Christian McCaffrey. They're not going to make him a bell cow. He's not getting anywhere near 400 carries. He might get 300-ish. But Brian Robinson is just going to spell him like whoever the RB2 would have been if Brian Robinson did not get sent to San Francisco. So no, it doesn't faze me at all. I think the plan was the same regardless of who RB2 was in that system. Kansas City, Rashee Rice. What's going to happen with him? They basically, the NFL seems to have strategically chose when his hearing is going to be, or his sentencing, whatever you want to call it. And it's right after the 4-game stretch where it's like 4 straight or 4 or 5, something like that, primetime games with Rashee Rice on the field. And then he has his hearing, and then he has like where he could have a suspension to come back and look like he would be primetime fit to come back for the other big games on their schedule. So a little sketchy right there. 8 or more game suspension. Yeah, that's what they're saying. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that. I made the argument whenever I talked about the Chiefs that he was their X factor, and he's the one that can make this offense a top 5 offense. He was the missing piece last year. Whenever year before last, from the midway point to the end of the season, I want to say he was first in yards after the catch. He was third in first down rate or something like that. He was such a focal point for that team early on in his career. And whenever they lost him, the offense just sputtered. Travis Kelce's getting older. He's not what he's been. I mean, you might could depend on him in the playoffs, but I mean, it's not a guarantee. Xavier Worthy is more of an outbreaking wide receiver. Get him on screens, get him on deep pass. Rashee Rice is that inbreaker. He is a zone beater, man beater. I mean, he is your go-to wide receiver one type in this offense. Can't be any worse than what it was last year. So when he's on the field, I expect the Chiefs to look much better on the offensive side of the ball. Sane says, do you think Saquon will get the curse? Nah. Josh Allen didn't get it last year. The only thing that worries me about Saquon is he had over 400 carries last year. And like I said earlier, running backs who have had more than 400 carries have dropped off substantially in the following season. You have the likes of Christian McCaffrey, who did it 2 years ago, and then last year he was injured for the majority of the season, went to Germany trying to see a specialist, and then you had Chris Johnson, who had that was a 2,000 rush yard season, and was never the same after that. They just get run to the ground. So hopefully the Eagles are smart with Saquon. I mean, he might get 250 carries. They're not worried about the regular season with him. A.J. Dillon got him. Yep. If they can get A.J. Dillon off a farming simulator, then he will be ready to be RB2. But I think it's going to be a lot of Will Shipley in the Eagles running back room. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Chargers. Finish up the AFC West with the Chargers. Omarion Hampton. I mean, that's going to be the focal point here. I mean, he really hasn't done much. 4 for 21. He played in that Hall of Fame game, and that's all we've seen, I want to say. But he has he's the focal point. You have Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him and how much run he gets. They let J.K. Dobbins go. So what's going to happen with Omarion Hampton? He is supposed to be one of the special talents outside of Ashton Genty as far as running backs go. So I'm curious to see what is truly going to happen. Because like I said, Greg Roman, he had like the only time, I think he had 1 year where he was outside of the bottom 5 in pass rate. And it was the year that Lamar just went off whenever he was still there in Baltimore. But I don't know. I don't think highly of Greg Roman, especially as a Ravens fan, but he's definitely going to get the touches for sure. They brought in Tyler Conklin as a tight end. There's a lot of mocks that had Colston Loveland going to the Chargers. Didn't happen, but they have Tyler Conklin. They have Trey Harris has looked good in the preseason, so I'm curious to see how he's going to fit in with this offense. They still have Lad McConkey, who looked outstanding as a rookie. Quentin Johnston's still there, still has the drops at times. But it's going to be interesting. See what happens with the Chargers. And as we finish up, AFC North. So we've talked about every team, every division. Let's talk about the AFC North. Start with the Bengals. And yes, I am a Ravens fan. I just happen to have a Bills shirt on for reasons, undisclosed reasons tonight. The defense still looks absolutely terrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They played the backups against Philly, and they just got ran through. It was awful. Then they played the Commanders last week. It looked awful. Or that was this week. I don't know. You get confused when you see how bad they look so frequently. Shamar Stewart finally showed up. Finally got the deal done. Trey Hendrickson. What is going on with Trey Hendrickson? I don't know. The Bengals and the Cowboys are steadily, well, I guess the Saints too, those three are competing to be the worst organization in the NFL week in and week out. They pay all their offensive players, and then they go and don't do anything for Trey Hendrickson. Does he deserve a new contract? Yeah. I mean, he had, I want to say, like 48% of their sacks last year. And, I mean, Shamar Stewart is not necessarily, hasn't had production. Yeah. Shamar Stewart has not had production in college. So he is a hopeful, wishful piece for this defense. Yeah, they're going to win. If they win, it's going to be 52-50. I 100% agree. Like, their defense, they got a new defense coordinator. The knock on Lou Anarumo was that his defense was too complicated for these younger defensive backs and defensive players in general to scheme up and understand. They get someone else who is more apt to working in these younger players. But there's still a talent gap there in Cincinnati. Appreciate it, student. So the defense is going to be the X factor here. I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe the GM's the X factor if they can get Trey Hendrickson to stay. I don't know. Because, I mean, the offense was absolutely outstanding last year. Do you expect them to be as great? Yeah, I mean, they can be. I mean, they have a full offseason for once with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the great Mike Gesicki, who they extended for reasons unknown. But if they were to take a step back to be the 9th or 10th best offense, which is still great, they're not making the playoffs based on this current defense. Yeah, thanks, Pat. Parker says Panthers going 9-8, making the playoffs. Possible. We talked about Bryce Young earlier, and what is he going to do? The preseason has not looked great for Bryce Young thus far, and I was surprised that they didn't get more run with that first string offense, being that Bryce looked pretty bad, going 0 for 2 with a sack and an interception that was nullified by a penalty. And that's what it was. Johnson says Kalen Williams or Justin Fields in fantasy. Or real life? I mean, I think my answer is the same regardless. If we're talking fantasy, yeah, fantasy, Caleb Williams, 100%. Justin Fields, they have Tanner Engstrand as the offense coordinator in New York. So I'm curious to see. I mean, he was the pass game coordinator in Detroit, who is now the offensive coordinator in New York, follows Aaron Glenn over there. So are they going to be a pass first offense? I mean, one could argue based on what they did in Detroit. And then they have Justin Fields as quarterback. I don't like that combination. I mean, he has Garrett Wilson. He has Mason Taylor, but outside of that, he really has nothing. Caleb Williams, I am, after this week's 5 for 6, 93 yards and a touchdown on the opening drive with Ben Johnson. He looked absolutely amazing. He looked better than any point that he did all of his rookie season. I'm sold on Caleb Williams for year 2. So yeah, Caleb Williams. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not signed yet. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what they're doing with Trey Hendrickson. Like I said, what are they waiting for? I mean, I thought if they were going to trade him, it was going to be before the draft, so they could go ahead and add more to this defense. There was like speculation that like, oh, maybe the Lions trade that late first round pick for Trey Hendrickson, and they go all in for a Super Bowl run, but they didn't. So here they are now, and they're stuck now. I don't know. Trey Hendrickson seems to be 10 toes down with not playing. I mean, he's possibly going to take the fines and move on. But the thing is, probably any team in the NFL, maybe outside of Micah Parsons and their defense, I don't know what player is more important and more impactful to one defense than Trey Hendrickson. Not to say Trey Hendrickson's the best, but he's so good on such a terrible defense that he is absolutely needed with this defense. So that's the Bengals. Talk about them way more than what they deserved. Going forward, we still got the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns. So let's talk about the Browns. They're the worst team in this division, maybe the worst team in the NFL. The quarterback situation, that is quite interesting to say the least. I mean, I could probably do a whole show just on the quarterbacks there. Before we keep going, Johnson says Bengals are my team and they are being completely stupid. Yep. I mean, I feel like every Bengals fan feels that way. User 90237 blah blah blah. Who has the worst contract in the league? Who? It was Russell Wilson. It was that contract that the Broncos are still paying dead cap money. Oh, Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's easy. It's still Deshaun Watson. He's not even playing this year. You forget about him. It's perfect segue into this quarterback room and how terrible this quarterback situation is. But the Browns, they have 5 quarterbacks on their roster right now. They have Joe Flacco, who they say is going to be the starter in week 1. They have Kenny Pickett. They have Dylan Gabriel. They have Shedeur Sanders. They have Tyler Huntley, and they have Deshaun Watson. So they have 6. Second is Dak. It's the worst contract. Ooh, that's a hot take. I mean, you could argue it's a bad contract, but I don't know about the worst or second worst. But this quarterback room. All right, Johnson, I'm a recap. I'm about to do the AFC North, and I will go back and do my division winners for each division. They've come out and said Joe Flacco is going to be the starter, which I respect. Get someone, a veteran, start the season off. Don't put one of the rookies in. Definitely not Kenny Pickett. I mean, put Joe Flacco in. Joe Flacco's there. Then you have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. This has been absolutely interesting because Shedeur came out and played, well. I wouldn't say he was a world beater and he wasn't terrible, but he played well in that preseason game against the Panthers. He played that first half. His ADOT was kind of yeah, student says, I'm so happy 3,000 NFL Reddit fans see him in Bills gear. Yeah, he's saying this because I'm a Ravens fan. So, yeah, glad you're all here to see this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Student also played against Joe Flacco in college. So he's aging himself right there. But like I said, Joe Flacco, starting quarterback going in. You can't start Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur. You don't want to put a rookie starting in that situation from week 1 unless they just came out and were world beaters. Neither one of them has been. Shedeur came out, did well in that first half against the Panthers in preseason. His ADOT was low. I think it was like 6 yards per attempt, which not his ADOT. His ADOT was low too, but his yards per attempt was 6 yards, 6.0 yards, which would rank like 30th or 31st last year amongst qualifying quarterbacks. So the depth of target is not there. He's still scrambling more than he needs to, which is what he did in Colorado, and that was one of the knocks on him. He has the accuracy, but I don't know. Looks great for a 5th rounder. Is that what he was? Dylan Gabriel played week 2. Was it week 2? Yeah. Had the interception, the pick 6. I don't know how much you can blame that on him because you see who was it? It was the tight end who kind of tucked his hands in whenever the ball was coming to him and let the ball go right by him. So interesting to say the least. What was more interesting was Dylan Gabriel's comments where he said he's here to play and not entertain. So it's kind of like a subtle jab to Shedeur Sanders. And to Shedeur's credit, Shedeur did not take the bait. He said, he's just here to play. He's not worried about what anyone's saying, even his own teammates. So that was kind of crazy because you don't really see a quarterback competition that is also them talking or one talking bad about the other or saying something that seems bad about the other. Chase is slowly becoming a Bills fan. Don't push it. But that's the Browns. The Browns are finishing last in this division, I'm sure. Or it could be the Steelers. There's an argument for the Steelers finishing last. But the Steelers, preseason storyline, what this show's been about. Preseason storyline for the Steelers is Caleb Johnson for me. Well, as up until last night when Derek Harmon got hurt, they did say it was an MCL sprain, so it's not. He did get carted off, but it wasn't as bad as people thought it could have been. So that's good. Good news for that, especially with Cam Hayward still wanting that new contract. They definitely need Derek Harmon to be there. But Caleb Johnson, he did show a little bit more in the second half against Tampa Bay in week 2 of the preseason, but he's just at 3.9 yards per carry, 24 attempts. So we've had a solid sample size, as long as 14 yards. At some point, I expect him to be the starting running back in the bell cow for this offense. It's not going to be Jaylen Warren. Najee Harris was there, but Najee Harris is gone. Najee is in the fireworks stand playing with fireworks in Los Angeles. But it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers here. I mean, the offense is not. I mean, the quarterback room is probably better, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. What is he now? He's not the Aaron Rodgers of old. And they had George Pickens. They trade him away, bring in DK. So I mean, you have a what and what switch out between the positive and the plus and minus of getting them in and out. So I don't know what's really that much better about this offense. Darnell Washington has looked good, the huge tight end for them. They still have Pat Freiermuth, but they get Jalen Ramsey, trade Minka Fitzpatrick. That was just two teams who didn't want their own player, and they just said, go to another team. They're in a tough division with the Ravens. They're always going to play them close, but I mean, this has another 500-ish season written over it with Mike Tomlin at the helm. And to finish up every team, the Baltimore Ravens. The storyline for them this preseason has been Keaton Mitchell. I mean, to me, that was an absolute godsend, seeing what he did in week 1. 9 carries, 68 yards, and 1 touchdown on that one drive. He looks like he is back to where he was his rookie season prior to getting injured. The speed's there, and then him looking as good as he did. We know this roster. We know this roster is arguably the best roster in the NFL. I mean, what are they, second if they're not first as far as just on paper? But they have a running back room with a top 2 running back. Derrick Henry has definitely come out and shown that he is not too old yet, as people may have thought going into 2024. He looked great. I mean, he showed up and showed out every single week. They have him as RB1. Justice Hill is there still. Justice Hill is great. He looks even bigger, put on some muscle in offseason. Now they have Keaton Mitchell to add to the mix. You have Lamar Jackson, who is also running the ball when necessary. He is arguably the best passer in the NFL. I mean, if not, what is he, top 3? I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches on this team. They bring in DeAndre Hopkins, who is a sure-handed receiver. This is where old receivers go to die in Baltimore. But a good addition. I mean, I want to see if Rashad Bateman can take the next step this year. Zay Flowers is still there. I mean, he's not the wide receiver prototype. He's kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying they're the same player, but the same situation as Khalil Shakir and Buffalo. Then this defense is absolutely outstanding. Look, I'm trying to keep it reasonable. This defense is, I mean, it's just great. I mean, they were from the second half of the season whenever they moved Kyle Hamilton down into the box more, started moving him around. Zach Orr figured that out, and this defense just took off from there. They were number 1 or number 2 in 5 or 6 categories from the time that they switched. They have Kyle Hamilton. They get Malachi Starks in the draft. He falls to him. Perfect for them, especially being that they lost Ardarius Washington. Brandon Stevens is out the door, who was one of the worst cornerbacks in the league last year, and they replace him with Jair Alexander on a team-friendly contract. Just keep him in bubble wrap until we get to the playoffs for sure. They get Mike Green. Going to be interesting to see if they can get anything out of him, because if they do, oh my God, this team is just, it was absolutely amazing. So that's obviously the division winner. So that's all the teams. That's all 32 teams. Let's go back and I'm going to give my division winner for each division. So for the AFC North, the Ravens, I think it's clear. If they don't win the division, something bad has happened. Is there a wild card team? I want to say no. I don't feel good about the Bengals' defense. The offense is going to be hard to replicate. They're probably going to be pushing around 500. Same for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin doesn't finish below 500, so yeah, not really surprised. Yeah, well, we saw what happened in the regular season last year. Yeah, I know what happened in the playoffs. We'll see. The regular season don't matter right now. So, NFC East, I mean, it's the Eagles. I mean, that's the division winner. Is there a wild card team? The Commanders, if they decide to pay Terry McLaurin at this point. But are they? I'm not really sure. I do expect some regression from the Commanders. They had the best fourth down conversion rate of all time. It was like 87% last year. Absolutely ridiculous. They're not doing that. They may go for it as much, but they're not going to convert nowhere near as much. They get Debo. They add Debo. They get Laramie Tunsil. Defense gets a few new pieces. They still are definitely not the best defense. They get Trey Amos, but the front four is still an issue in Washington. But can they make the playoffs? Yeah, sure. Giants, no, even though Jackson Darts look great, I mean, could they get 7-10? Yep, possibly, but I think that's probably their ceiling this year, especially being that Malik Neighbors is the only weapon on the outside. Cowboys, the Micah Parsons thing does not make me feel good at all. I don't think he's going to be there. NFC West. Well, this was probably the toughest division to pick a winner out of, and that's because Matthew Stafford. If Matthew Stafford was healthy right now, I'd say the Rams easily run away with it. But Matthew Stafford's injured, or I don't know what. Nobody knows what's really going on with his back. The Seahawks, they have a great defense, but they have Sam Darnold as their quarterback behind a questionable offensive line for him. The 49ers have 5 injured wide receivers right now, or suspended wide receivers. And then they have, they're one Trent Williams injury away. Yeah, Stafford was cleared, good to go. It just took too long for me, for him to come back. It was just a weird situation. It doesn't make me feel 100% that he's okay. I know they said he was, but they are definitely one injury away from that being the season being over, especially with the fact that Alaric Jackson, he's still not been cleared with the blood clots. That's why they went out and signed, was it DJ Humphries? So quite the downgrade there at the left tackle position. But yeah, you could get 3 teams out of this division, honestly, between the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners. Any of those 3 could win the division. I don't know. There might get a wild card out of here. I don't know if it's necessarily guaranteed though. Moving on, NFC North. Talked about them earlier as well. I think the Lions still win the division. They may sputter coming out of the gate, especially, and that's based solely on the fact that they have a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, and it's gonna take time for them to get going for sure. But they still win the division in the long run. I'm not sold on Jordan Love. Jordan Love has too many interceptions, turns the ball over too much, doesn't run the ball. He'll have open lanes, and he's athletic enough to move around, but he does not run up the field. Christian Watson's out. Is Matthew Golden going to be wide receiver 1? The defense, are they going to be able to replicate what they did last year? Could they be a wild card team? Absolutely. All 4 of these teams could make the playoffs, and I would not be surprised in the slightest. The Vikings is going to be dependent on JJ McCarthy. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell felt good enough, and Kwesi felt good enough that they want to move forward with JJ McCarthy versus quote unquote breaking the bank with Sam Darnold, paying him near $40 million-ish. So we will see what the Vikings are going to do with JJ McCarthy. Has not looked great in the preseason. You've seen some of the picks in training camp at practice. So we'll see. Chicago Bears, like I said earlier, Caleb Williams looked absolutely amazing. 5 for 6, 93 yards and a touchdown on that opening drive with Ben Johnson. He looked quick. He looked decisive. He was not scrambling around trying to save his own life throughout the entirety of that drive, the first 2 drives. So I am sold on the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams match just after that one drive. Doesn't take much to prove me, to make me feel good about them. NFC South, probably it's either the NFC South or the AFC South. Which one's the worst division? Probably, I don't know. If Tampa Bay loses this division, Baker Mayfield got hurt. I don't know what else causes them to lose the division. They are well above all the other teams in the NFC South. The Falcons are number 2 probably, but Michael Penix has not been great yet. There's nothing proven. They do have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. People are still trying to get on that hype train. I think that ship has sailed. They have Bijan, but still too many holes on the defense for my liking for them to be a contender in the NFC South. The Saints are still the Saints. They're terrible. They don't have a quarterback. They're old at every position pretty much. Well, not every position, but too many positions. Their cap situation is absolutely terrible. The Panthers, Bryce Young has looked better, but the defense was god awful last year. They were last or next to last in, I want to say, like 8 categories last year. It was the defense was bad. I know they added a lot. This is going to be interesting. I don't think we get a wild card team out of this division. I think the Bucks win it and we move on with our day. Going to the AFC, spoke about the East earlier. The Bills, there's no way. There is clear cut. I think they had the best odds of any team to win a division out of anyone in the NFL. Minus, I don't know. You shouldn't bet them. They're going to win a division. I don't think anyone else is coming out of this division as a wild card. But if one team were to come out, it would be the Patriots. I think if they get everything clicking with Mike Vrabel, then yeah, it's possible. But is it going to happen? I would say there's a 30% chance. I don't think it's going to happen. The Dolphins, that ship has sailed on that offense. Do not trust them. Do not trust Mike McDaniel. I think they've peaked, and that's that. It's over. Jets, they have Justin Fields. I mean, he's not taking them to the playoffs. They don't have enough weapons. No, not happening. All right. AFC South. Like I said, this is the worst or second worst division in the NFL. The Texans should win it. The argument for them not winning this division would be if they are able to, if the offensive line is somehow worse than what it was last year. And they're one CJ Stroud injury away from the season being over. Davis Mills is not coming in and saving the world. But yeah, the Texans should win it. The Jags could potentially be a wild card. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they may be somewhere around 7-10. That defense is too god awful to be a playoff team. I mean, the offense is going to be decent to good with Brian Thomas Jr., Trevor Lawrence being back, and Liam Cohen being the offense coordinator this year. The Colts, I mean, we know their quarterback situation. That's not getting them to the playoffs. Titans, their roster is nowhere near good enough to make the playoffs. AFC West, I mean, the Chiefs, I don't care what you say about them. We can't write them off until proven that they're not the division winner. So they're a division winner. The Chargers, I feel, take a step back. I'm not really sold on them. They and the Raiders could be near the same as far as record goes by the end of the season, and the Broncos could and should make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, I don't know what happened because they had the best defense last year, and they greatly improved in the offseason. They had, per the numbers, number one defense, and then they go out and add 3 new starters. They get Jahdae Barron in the first round, the cornerback from Texas. They go get Dre Greenlaw, who went healthy as a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. And then they go and add Talanoa Hufanga, who, if he can get back to where he was in the San Francisco Robert Saleh days, then this defense is otherworldly, just absolutely ridiculous. And to finish off, the AFC North. The Ravens should win this division. I mean, the regular season doesn't really matter for the Ravens. The Ravens have come, and I mean, it's the postseason. It's them and the Bills. They're basically in the same category. They have to get, one of them has to get to the Super Bowl. If either one of those do not get to the Super Bowl, it's a lost season for whichever team doesn't get there. Both of them have Super Bowl aspirations. I think the low bar has to be getting to the Super Bowl. And I don't know what would be worse for either of these two teams. It's probably the Bills more, but what would be worse, to lose in the AFC Championship to the Chiefs again, or to lose the Super Bowl? Like, to finally get past the Chiefs and then lose the Super Bowl. I think that's more of a Bills related question. But the Ravens win the division. Like I said earlier, I don't know that there's a wild card team in this division because I don't trust the Bengals defense. Has not looked any better at all. And then Trey Hendrickson being in the mix of not playing there makes it even worse. Steelers, they might have improved, but I mean, it's nothing great. 500 team, 9-8, 10-7. So that's it. We had 5,000 viewers tonight. I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you don't follow me on everything, please do. King NFL Stats, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, Follow everyone at Due Media, at Due Media, at Due Champions. They are Buffalo Bills Focus Network and are letting me spread my knowledge base on here to talk about everybody else, even though I don't want to hear some of the Ravens talk, but that's okay. Yeah, they are the best coverage for the Buffalo Bills. So if you're a Bills fan, please go follow Due Champions on everything: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, Kick, Twitch, everything. Thanks for stopping by. Johnson says, I think Bengals definitely do better than last year and make the playoffs, and the Bills will win their Super Bowl. I mean, the Bengals, yeah, I mean, it's possible. The defense just has to show me something that they have not shown me yet in the preseason. And again, I know it's the preseason, and we'll see what happens. I mean, the bar is very low for the defense in Cincinnati and what they can do to improve. Getting Lou Anarumo out the door was step one, I do believe, but they got to get Trey Hendricks in there. Bills win the Super Bowl? Possibly. See what happens. Again, thanks everyone stopping by, and we will be back next week.